You and oh, okay. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Advocate Bulem Matselo. The purpose of this channel is to teach South African law, mainly on topics that affect the vulnerable in society, like women, children, the disabled, and the poor. So the emphasis will be there. And secondly, to teach or to preach the word of God. In today's video, I will be addressing the law on customary marriages in South Africa. Now, let me start by saying customary marriages are fully recognized in South Africa. But before 2000, before the 15th of November 2000, that was not the case. Because except for the fact that the act that recognizes customary marriages is called the Recognition of Customary Marriages Act number 120 of 1998. This act only came into effect on the 15th of November 2000. But just to take a step back into our historical background regarding this issue. Prior to the promulgation of this act, customary marriages were not recognized in South Africa. Even though people continued to exist or people continue to conduct their relationship based on their custom, in this instance, customary marriages, civil marriages, or marriages by Christian faith were given recognition and more prominence to the customary marriages. In other words, what used to happen is if somebody is married or is in a customary relationship, not married per se, or even if married, if this person was in this kind of a relationship or in this customary marriage, which was not recognized, and at a later stage decide to enter into a civil marriage, the civil marriage, even if it was entered into after the customary marriage, it would be given recognition. So the worst part would be in a situation where Mr. X was married to A customarily and then later decide to marry B. In terms of the law, then his marriage to B, which is a civil marriage, would be the one that is recognized. Another scenario would be if the same Mr. X is married to A, in an instance where he wants his union to be recognized, even if he has done everything in terms of the culture that would render it a marriage, he would still be required to go to court, to go to church, to solemnize his marriage so that this marriage must be fully recognized. Now, based on this act, this is no longer the case. You don't have to go and solemnize your marriage at the court. You don't have to go to church for your marriage to be solemnized. You don't have to if you don't want to. But your marriage will still be recognized. Now, in order for this customary marriage to be recognized, there are three very important requirements. and they must all be there. Number one, both parties, both prospective spouses, both parties who intend to get married, they must be 18 years or above. They can't be underage, as it used to happen in some instances where we've heard from our elders that, for those of us who don't know, that a child would be identified while still young and so on and so forth. Or maybe a child of 17 will be handed over to an elderly person. This is no longer the case. Both must be 18 years or above. Number two, which is the second requirement, they must both consent. They must both agree. Nobody should be forced. If it's forced, if it's arranged and forced, it does not meet this requirement. Number three, the marriage. This marriage must be negotiated, entered into, or celebrated according to your customary law. Now in South Africa, we have different ethnic groups. We have the Nguni group consisting of Xhosa, Zulus, Ndebele, Vendas. We have another Sotho group, Itswana, Pedi, South Sotho, and so on and so forth. And in our own ethnic groups, there is a common element in the way in which we negotiate our customary marriage. The common element is lobola. But under this number three requirement, lobola is just one of them. There are other issues involved when you enter into customary marriage. That is why the number three requirement is it must be negotiated, it must be entered into, it must be celebrated in accordance with customary law. So there will be differences here and there based on the ethnic groups that entered or that enters into this customary marriage. But the most important thing is that the negotiation, the celebration must be entered into in terms of customary law. So once these three requirements are present, then we can talk of customary marriage being in existence. There are instances where some people, after being married for so long to each other, when a situation arises, they will begin to say, no, I was not married. As far as I'm concerned, it was just what we call in South Africa, a fat and sit arrangement. I never entered into any marriage with you. But when you look and analyze, you'll be able to pick up that no, actually there is enough evidence to support that indeed there was customary marriage. When you look at it, the number one requirement is very easy to prove. It's the one of age. Were they both 18 or above? Number two, you can deny consent. There's a way in which we can prove, but for the mere fact that you stayed with this person, that can be an indication that you did consent to this kind of marriage. Thirdly, when you begin to analyze the entire situation, you'll be able to observe that, but yes, indeed, this marriage or this relationship that is now being contested as not being a customary marriage is indeed customary marriage. because it was negotiated, it was entered into, it was celebrated in accordance with customary law. We have seen cases before, even in the media, without mentioning specific cases, to say, you know what, when it is time now, especially when it comes to property, division of property, that's where the problem will start. And I also need to mention that customary marriage, except for these requirements that I have mentioned, it's automatically in community of property. And I will unpack other issues as we continue with this series, which may result in part 2, 3, or even 4, depending on the need. But for now, I will stop here. Thank you very much. I'm intending to make it brief so that there can be an understanding, because there's so much confusion that has been caused by different statements that have been said, whether it's in social media or whether it's in the media, where there are so many interpretations linked to what customary marriage is. So from today, if you know that if these 3 requirements are there, it is a customary marriage. Or to put it the other way around, I can say these are the requirements for customary marriage. I want to thank you for listening to this video. Please like, it will help me, comment, and subscribe. Please note that subscribing is a free, you just click that button. And also, click the notification bell so that when we upload other videos, you are alerted. Thank you very much.